Hey, we are live with the event. I am so excited. Happy Tuesday. I'm happy to be with you again as we continue our family reunion series. Tonight, we are talking about the chosen connections. So, we're talking about the people that we connect with, that we choose. So, we all know, of course, with our bloodline, at least with our family that's blood related to us, we don't get to choose. We're born into that family. We're connected to them because of other relationships. We're connected to them because of DNA, because of biology, because of genetics. But then there's these group of people who we get to choose. So whether that's college friends, whether that's people that we work with, whether that's people we go to church with, people that we grew up with in our neighborhood or that we met in different parts of our lives, those are our chosen connections. The people that we choose, like I want to be your friend, that's my sister. Whether it's because you're a part of an organization or because you just have similar interests or hobbies, there's this group of people that we consider family, right? There are play cousins, there are sisters, there are brothers, there are uncles and aunties to our kids. They are these wonderful parts of our family, even if we're not blood related. So we know they have this phrase, right, that talks about, blood is thicker than water. But there are some moments where we meet people and we just instantly bond with them, or because of shared experiences or spending time together, we have this bond and now they become family, right? So they're at the family reunion, they come over for dinner, we vacation with them, we trust our children and our prized possessions with them, and they are our family no matter what anybody says. That's my brother, that's my sister, that's my cousin, that's my auntie, that's my uncle, because of the bond that you've now created with these people, where it may not be a familial bond, but it is a bond that has made it so that they are now part of your life. They are now part of big successes. They're part of the failures. They're part of the day to day. And you consider them a family member, right? Y'all eat dinner, y'all have Christmas, Thanksgiving. They're there, right? And you know that you can count on them. So that's tonight's conversation. Welcome in. If you've never been to the event, we are a safe communal space for you to come in, for you to be heard, for you to be seen. And nothing is off limits. So we're here every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and we are happy that you have decided to join us tonight. If this is your first night here, or if you haven't been part of this series, welcome in. Welcome in. We are in our family reunion series. So a lot of times on the summer, people have family reunions. So we're kind of taking a play on that, and we're talking about things that we don't talk about. So we've had previous conversations about things that we pass down with family. We've had previous conversations about forming relationships, about setting boundaries, about sharing information to help others grow and move forward. We've had so many different conversations, because the point and the goal of the event is to open up space for maybe the conversations that are a little bit more uncomfortable, right? To open up the conversations for people who, I really want to talk about this, but I don't have a safe space to talk about this. So we welcome you into the room. I always encourage you, this is a communal conversation. So I'll talk, right? But I want you to join in. I would love for you to comment. I would love for you to share your experiences, to give us advice, to chime in. And even if you don't, we want you to be part of the conversation, because we know that many of our experiences, even if the exact same thing hasn't happened to us, many of our experiences are shared experiences. So we all have often experienced hurt, disappointment. We've also experienced the highs, right? The success and the excitement and the new things. So we all have common bonds. No matter where you are in the world, no matter what your age, no matter what your gender, no matter your ethnicity, your race, we have common bonds. And that's kind of what tonight is. It's really chosen connection. So the people that you're like, you are a part of my life now, or they walked into your life and you cannot imagine life without them now. So some of us meet them when we're younger. Some of them meet them when we're a little bit more mature. Some of them we grew up with. Some of them we may have just met and it was just an instant connection. So we're excited about those connections and we want to talk about it. And let's say you don't have that connection, we kind of want to talk about what that looks like, starting to form those connections or rebuild those connections, and how they really have a great impact on our life. So again, welcome in. Whether you're joining us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, We are happy that you're a part of our community. We're happy that you're listening in. We're happy to hear your perspective, your take. Again, nothing is off limits. Whatever you want to say, whatever you want to share, as much or as little, we welcome it with open arms, and we cannot wait to hear from you because we know everybody has a piece that they bring here at the event. So, as we talk about chosen connections, the first thing I want to ask you before we, sometimes we get a little deep, sometimes, we're playful, but in every moment we want to share and let you know that you're seen. So, the very first thing I would love for you to share, so that we kind of all are working from the same foundation, is when you hear, so tonight's episode is chosen connections, so it's the family we create. So when you hear the family we create, who are those people to you? So the family that you've created, when you think about maybe family you've created or people that you are connected to, who are those people? So you don't have to name them by name, but for me, like the family that I've created, my friends from college, like my friends from college are my sisters. Like that's just what it is. They are my sisters. We're not blood related. We don't have any relatives in common, but they are my sisters because that freshman year of college, those experiences that we've had that we haven't had with anyone else, it created a bond to where like we connected, and we've been connected for the last 12 15 years, right? So we met in 2000. Many of them, I met them in 2009, 2010, and to this day they're my daughter's aunties. They are my sisters. We're there for each other day to day through communication, right? A lot of them live out of state, but we're together day to day via text and Instagram memes and DMs, and we're there during big moments. We plan time together. We plan family outings and cookouts. And we schedule dates around holidays and things that we can get together because we're family. So we want to be there for each other. We want to support each other. We want to celebrate those milestones, and we want to help each other through challenging times, right? So my undergrad girlfriends, they're my sisters. My seminary sisters are my sisters. I have seminary sisters and brothers from seminary school. Again, a totally different type of bond through the struggle of seminary that we went through. But there's still people to this day that I bounce ideas off of, and we meet up weekly, and we're able to kind of unpack things together because we're in the same or similar vocations, and we also have shared experiences with professors and working through our own biases and trying to figure out these different theological things. And like we have this certain bond that we've now created because we have also had a shared experience in a totally different time of life, right? As a seminary student, I was very different from an undergraduate student, mostly because of my age difference and life experiences. But I've now have a whole nother group of people that I consider them my brothers and my sisters. And again, like I'm going to one of my sister's weddings this weekend from seminary because we just formed this bond. She's my sister now, and I can't wait to go to her wedding and celebrate this life milestone with her, right? So when you hear family that you create, who are those people? So for me, many of them are college friends, whether it be undergrad or grad. Also, like me growing up, many of my moms and grandmas and aunties that are not blood related to me, because they know my grandma, because they know my mom, because they know my dad, because I grew up in church. Like I was a church kid, right? Because I grew up in church, I now have all these eyes on me, and they're my moms and my aunties and my uncles, because of time spent and them helping to be they were part of the village, and they still are to this day. Many of them who are my aunties are now part of Kristen's village, and they help to make sure that, she stays and has a certain understanding of things. So for me, that's exciting because you get to have these bonds with people that, who knows if you would have crossed paths if you didn't go to school, or if you didn't have that job, or if you didn't join their organization, or if you didn't campus neighborhoods, or go out to neighborhoods to try to get people to register to vote, or if you didn't, like who knows how your life would be different if these people never cross your path. That's why I'm so grateful for friends, for family. And often we have totally different perspectives. we see things so differently, but that's so valuable because you need those people who challenge how you think. You need those people who are from a different area, and you need those people who've had different life experiences, because they make you challenge your own biases, and they make you challenge, well, why do you think like that? This is my experience. And it is, can always be respectful, right? But it is, well, this is how I grew up, but this is what I know, or this is my truth, that's your truth. Like, how does that work? And we're bonding together now. How can I enrich your life? How can I challenge you to see things in a different way? And then how can we grow together? So our created family often helps push us forward and challenges what we think we know, so that we're able to grow as a person and really analyze how we view the world, right? So for me, that's so exciting. Hey, Rachel. So I can see some of the people on Instagram, and it does this every time, but I can't see Facebook. So if you want to, you can definitely comment where you're joining us from. You can just do the state if you want to. You don't have to do the city. If you want to just share where you're joining us from, or if it's your first time, just drop a yellow heart. So our first kind of question, y'all know, I talk a lot in the beginning, and then I kind of bow out because I would love for other people to share. Right? But my first question, or the first part I want to talk about, and I want you to please share as well. The first thing I want to talk about is, one, before we even start to forge relationships outside of ourselves, is we have to know what we deserve. So you have to know how valuable you are. You have to know who you are, what you bring, what you're not willing to accept. Like, that's always going to be a thing. And this is probably a running theme through all the conversations that we have. But a big thing that I will always stand on, that the event will always stand on, is knowing that you deserve the very best, knowing that you are valuable, and knowing that you have to have boundaries, right? To protect yourself. And in addition to that, there's a certain self-awareness that you have to have. Like, I know who I am. I know what I value. I know what my boundaries are. I know what I'm willing to accept. And self-awareness, I also need to be aware of, how past experiences or things that I have encountered now impact how I see things, right? So if I had a bad breakup, if I had a bad experience with a parent, if me and my sister, brother, cousin don't get along, if just thinking about all those things, if I had a boss that was a very bad like micromanager, those things really do impact, right, how we view the world. They impact our perspective. They even impact how we view certain people. So if I've had a bad experience with a dentist, I'm gonna just use dentist so we can keep it kind of even, so it won't feel like I'm picking on certain vocations. Let's say I've had a bad experience with a dentist. They hurt me. I was there for a long time. I had to pay a lot of money. So now if I meet somebody, they're like, yeah, I'm a dentist, I already have a bias because I'm looking at you like, I know how y'all do, right? But the self-awareness part of that is knowing, this is how I view dentists. This is how I view, because I view this person. I don't even know this dentist, right? I ain't never met this person before. They're not doing no work to my mouth. We just met and we're trying to see if we're networking, right? But I already have a skewed view of them because of something that happened to me in the past. Self-awareness in that instance is knowing that, okay, why am I looking at this person sideways that I don't even know? I'm looking at them sideways because I've experienced something before with someone who is in the same vocation as you, right? So self-awareness informs me of that. And then I have to do the work to really get to know this person or realize where I am so that I can set the necessary boundaries, or I can be open enough to say, hey, look, I've had this experience, whether I say that to them or this is an internal conversation, right? What is stopping me, or what may be blocking me from actually networking with this person? What may be blocking me from actually forming a bond with this person who hasn't done anything to me, but because of past experiences, I'm now looking at them a certain way, right? And I may have used dentists, but for some of us that may have been, you had a bad experience with in relationships, you had a bad experience in maybe ministry settings, you've had a not the best experience with entrepreneurs or certain types of businesses. So then you go into other businesses with a skewed perspective because of what one group, person, thing did, right? So we want to be aware of our biases. I guess it's have the self-awareness of, okay, this is a bias for me. So let me check myself when I go into it so that I'm not shading you all day and you ain't done nothing to me. Kalita said those internal conversations be helping me get my life together. Yes, you got to do a self-check. I do it. I promise. I probably do it every day because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Is it this person or is it a situation that's similar to this that's now causing you to have this reaction? Because there's sometimes like, I have to pump the brakes again, self-aware, pump the brakes on yourself to say, okay, I shouldn't even treat this. Or don't let somebody have the same name as somebody. I met this guy yesterday and this is my first introduction to him, right? I met him, I told him my name. He was like, oh, my first wife's name was Kelly. I didn't know how to take that. Right? Because that could be a good thing. Maybe he got some good memories, or that could be like a bad thing. So I'm like, okay, now I guess being on the receiving end of that, I have to be careful how I, approach what I say to him because I don't know what his experience was with somebody named Kelly. And it sounds very small and it sounds like it could be not important, but it actually is because people relate. We relate things by nature as people. So we relate certain things to other things because that's just how we're wired, right? So we want to be aware of that before we start, pushing people off to the side or deeming people unworthy when we really don't even know them, and we can't judge people based on what people before them did. Right? So we want to be self-aware in a sense of not blocking possible connections with people because of what someone else did. But we also can use, I guess, on the flip side of that, we can use personal and past experiences to also help us, right? So when we start seeing red flags, when we start seeing things that we know we're not willing to accept, we know, like maybe the first time, I got, but now when I start seeing things that I'm not willing to accept, I'll end that sooner than later. And a lot of times we talk about that in like romantic relationships, but that can happen in business, right? People try to say certain things to get free stuff, to get discounts, to get you to do more than what you're contracted or set to do. We see that in friendships where sometimes, like, let's say I'm a giving friend and my friend knows, if they don't got it, I got them. So now every time we go out to eat, you don't never have no money. Like, okay, we got to start cooking at the house or something, right? Like, you got to set those boundaries. Okay, now this is the third time you left your wallet at the house. We need to have a come to Jesus meeting because some ain't right? So there are also things, there are mechanisms now set in inside of us. So, okay, no, wait a minute. I've seen this behavior before. So now my self-awareness is, okay, you've seen this before. Now, knowing what you've known, how are you going to protect yourself in this space, right? See what's the hey Wayne. So we want to be clear on that as well. And that goes kind of into the next point of setting boundaries. Like, knowing what you deserve is also setting boundaries. And we talk a lot about setting boundaries for other people, but also you have to set boundaries for yourself. I was talking to one of my friends a few weeks ago too about like having the discipline to not, because I want to say this and keep it very general. So men or women sometimes, right, get into relationships and we get super excited and we're ready to do this and do that and go and do. And I'm like, whoa, like let's slow down, right? You don't have to do everything all at once real fast, right? So, spend the money, but have a limit. Like, if we only been dating for like a month, I'm not necessarily about to like buy you like some expensive jewelry, or, there has to be a boundary that you set for yourself, especially people who give a lot, people who, some of us in ministry, I'm just going to say it, have a savior complex where you think you can just solve everybody's problems and you can just pay for stuff for everybody and you can just, like, that is great to want to help people, but you have to set boundaries because people will dry you out and take everything that you got. Everybody's not like that. But if you don't set boundaries for yourself, you'll find yourself emotionally depleted, spiritually depleted, financially depleted, because you're trying to live up to this this goal or this standard that is just way out left, where it doesn't have to be that far. Like, yes, care for people, do things for people, but keep it in a way that you're not harming yourself, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, you cannot give what you don't have. You also can't give to the point where you're the one carrying everything all the time. There'll be times in relationships, we all know, where you may have to carry a little bit more, give and take of it, right? However, you shouldn't be the one always doing everything every single time, right? There has to be some type of reciprocity, as Lauren Hill would say, right? And then the other part about knowing what you deserve is choose connections that support where you are as well as where you want to go. So you don't want to settle for, well, this is just good enough. This person known me since I was 2, and yeah, they always been like that. They always been whatever, whatever. No, there's some moments where it's like, okay, I need to start networking. I need to start choosing people who have ambition, right? I have to start choosing people who we don't want to, again, we don't necessarily have to do the same thing, but we're working towards something. So you may be working towards you going to get your doctoral degree. I'm working on building my business up as an entrepreneur. Our goal is to keep growing and keep building and keep moving forward, even if we're not working for the same goal. The parameters can be similar, where we want more, right? Excuse me. So you want to be around those people, and there's some interest at some points where you do want to be around someone who does something that's the same. Let's say you're studying for a certain, like studying for a certain test, or you want to get a certain type of licensure. It may be advantageous for you to get around other people who are doing the same thing, because you can study together, so you want to have even different groups of people that you can connect with, whether it's hobby, vocation, ministry, personal. Know what you deserve, so you don't have to settle for less because it's what you're used to. You don't have to settle because it's what you know. You want to know, like, hey, this is what I'm reaching. I'm striving for more. I want to do better. And that may mean that some of my relationships shift. Like, I don't have to this ain't one of those things like let everybody go. No, this is one of those things that is, don't be against, right? Don't be against making new connections, right? Because there are some people that you may not connect with until you're older or more mature, right? There's some people I didn't connect with until I was over 30, and we instantly connected, and that's okay. They didn't have to be my A1 since day one. We still good, and they're still helping me move forward, even though they weren't there when I was in diapers. That's okay. It's still a valuable relationship, and they're still my family, even if they don't have 30 years in the game and they only got 5 years in the game. We're still tight because we have that connection, because they want to achieve great things and they want to walk in excellence in the same way that I do, right? And Miss Dorothy said balance. Yeah, the balance of knowing that those people are around you and they can help push you forward as well. And Wayne's on IG. He said, agreed, boundaries. Speaking to boundaries, sorry, I just saw this. He said boundaries are needed, and you have to maintain discipline and hold yourself accountable. Absolutely. You have to hold yourself accountable. One of the other things that I often, when I have conversations with people, is hold yourself accountable, but also have an accountability person, a partner, somebody else that knows what's going on, so they can check in on you. Because it's easy to be like, oh, I'm gonna hold myself accountable. Then you start I ain't talked to them for 2 days, so I did good. Like, let's say you couldn't disconnect from somebody, right? Like, I ain't talked to them for 2 days, so I did good, but let me just check it. No, don't just check in. Right? So you need a person that's checking in on you, like, hey, how are things going? I know you said you're gonna do this. How is that? And you need to be honest with that person, because the discipline is not in the days where you feel good and everything is going well. The discipline is when you're alone and you're outside of your routine and you having a rough day. That's when the discipline really kicks in, and when you have to really lean on your discipline versus your emotions and what's going on in the moment, because it's so easy to fall back into things that you're trying to get away from when you feel lonely, when you had a rough day, when no one is watching. It's easy to fall into, oh well, I'm just gonna do this one time, because it doesn't become one time, right? It becomes you keep doing it over and over, and then nobody's holding you accountable. So it's easy to do it because don't nobody know you're not supposed to be doing it. And sometimes people don't know that you are doing it. So nobody knows what you're doing, right? Because you're doing it and you're probably concealing it because you don't want anybody to know you're doing it. And then the other part of that is nobody knows that you're not supposed to be doing it. So who's holding you accountable if they don't even know that, like you in front of everybody eating cookies, right? And you just said last week you ain't gonna eat no sweets to yourself. Nobody knows that. So everybody is like, oh, okay, it's no big deal. But if it's one person that knows, Kelly, you're not supposed to be eating cookies this week. Remember you said you were doing fruit? And then they, you know what I'm saying? That's the accountability of it. Yes, accountability partners, Precious. Yes, Miss Kim Walker. Yes, accountability is such a big deal. And sometimes we get upset with those people, right? Like, oh, but that's, you need to be upset because somebody got to keep us straight. I was on a call with some associate ministers last night. And I don't know how well they received it, right? But my thing was we all need somebody to check us. It doesn't matter how much education you have, how much experience you have. It doesn't matter if, you can preach until the roof catch on fire. Somebody should be able to check you and tell you when you're right and you're wrong. And that's for any vocation. If you're the CEO, if you are, the top dog, if you are whatever, you should have somebody in your life that can tell you when you're right and when you're wrong. And on that same token, somebody to tell you what you deserve and when you're settling for less. Somebody should be able to be like, now you know better. You know you deserve more, right? I can't believe you out here acting like that from a place of love, right? Because that's how a lot of my friends, that's how I talk to them, like, now you know. But they also talk to me the same way, like, get it together because you know better, right? And we need those people, and you have to give people the permission to do that. You have to give someone, even if it's just one person, give someone. You don't know everything. We can be honest. We family now. So if y'all don't be mad at me, we family now. So there should at least be one person in your life that can gather you and tell you, you're wrong. And you know that they're doing it because they want you to do better and they want you to grow and they want more for you. And they know what you bring to the table. So when you start, you know your bar should be here and you start settling for like the scraps, they're like, you can go bigger, you can go harder, that you can achieve more. I'm not going to let you just settle for okay. I need you to reach for great and know that you can also achieve great, right? You need those people. Hey, Shop Drop Thrills. Hey, Rakita. Hey, Alex. So it's such a and again it can be frustrating, and it is because it's that tension. But the part that really is advantageous for us is that it forces us to grow. It forces us to reanalyze. It forces us to check ourselves, check our perspectives, and it gives us that push because sometimes we're settling and we don't even realize it. And we're like, that almost like that false humility and that like, oh, this is okay, like whatever. You need somebody to step in like, oh, no, this is not okay. You need that person. We all need that person. Kalita said accountability matters. My friends will gather me quick. Yes, you have good friends. Reverend Lawrence says, correct me, please. Absolutely. Nobody is above correction. Miss Kim Walker Lee said, that's right. Give people permission to gather you and tell you when you are wrong, when you deserve more. Those people are the people who really care about you. Believe it or not, the yes people that let you go around and do whatever you want to do and say, oh yeah, that's good, that's this, that's that. Those are the people you need to be afraid of because whether they realize it subconsciously or not, that you will never grow if everything you do is good and everything you say is right. You'll always be where you are. So I have family and chosen family up here. My cousin is up here too. My cousin Bobby is up here. Hey. So yes, those people are the people that you need in your life. Sweat said you definitely have to be open to constructive criticism. And that's the other side of it, right? Giving them permission, but also be willing to receive it when they correct you. Because what some of us will do, right? And we've all been guilty, I'm sure, is we'll give them permission. And then when they say something, you mad. Why are you mad? You told them to do it, right? And again, it's that tension of part of you knows they right, and the other part of you like, dang, all right, you're right. But give them the permission, but also be willing to receive the constructive criticism when it is given, because again, it's out of love. It's out of wanting you to be better and to do better. So none of it is to harm you. And if we remind ourselves of that, that even that tension can get a little bit better. And we need a little tension. If we could be honest, right? We need that tension to help make us uncomfortable so that we can move and we can strive for something else. So that's the first part. You deserve great things. You deserve the very best. Don't ever settle as you're looking at these chosen connections, whether it is, again, friends, whether it's a mate, whether it's business related, whether it's ministry related. Don't settle for the scraps. Don't settle for less than. Know that you deserve the very best, no matter what. And my second question to you all is, what qualities do you value most in relationships? So when you think about your ministry relationships, when you think about your family relationships, yes, so we can grow, absolutely. When you think about your friends, whether it's from college, from high school, from elementary school, from work, from just meeting people in your neighborhood and your community, what qualities do you really value? So for some people, and just throwing out, you can drop it in the comments. For some people, it may be trust. Like there's a certain level of trust I have to have with people, or that I value. I would value if I can trust you, right? Then I value that. For some people, it's honesty, right? Going back to that constructive criticism, when somebody can just be honest with you and transparent with you, those are major things, because there's a certain level of trust when you feel like you can just let it out, that vulnerability, right? Reverend Lawrence said honesty and integrity. Yes, someone operating integrity, I will always value that in every area, like personal, ministry, work, because if you're not operating in a space of integrity, now I feel like you don't just put yourself in a bad spot, but now that's going to impact me, right? Because you're moving kind of crazy and I'm connected to you, especially in a personal way. Now, that phrase, that age-old phrase of birds of a feather flock together. So if you're moving crazy and you doing crazy stuff, the assumption is that we all, right, it's a collusion, right? We all doing something crazy. And if it's at work and people are operating in a space where they're not operating in integrity, it can impact your job and morale and cause this work environment that may not be conducive to you being able to do well. And in other spaces, it has so many ramifications. So honesty, integrity, absolutely. Another one, just personally for me, mutual respect. Like even if we don't always agree, even if we're in different life spaces, even if we're going through different types of transitions, there will always be a mutual respect. Even if you do something, y'all know, even if you do something that I don't like, I would be like, if you like it, I love it. Even if you do something that I don't necessarily like, I will not use that space to just tell, I told you so, or no. We have to have a mutual respect for one another, where we could be honest, but I respect you enough to let you work through whatever you got going on, be supportive to you, and in the right timing, also there to correct and to kind of push you beyond from a space of love, again, in the right timing. Being responsible, absolutely. Being understanding, empathy, right? Active listening, because some of us have or know people or been in situations where it's like, dang, well, I thought we were friends. You just right? There's a difference between constructive criticism and you correcting me and you just downright just judging and just being rude and mean. They're two different things, right? So for some of us, we also want to analyze what that looks like. So being empathetic towards people, as well as actively listening, because a lot of times, especially when people call us and they want to vent or they want to get something off their chest, sometimes if you listen closely, the people just want to get something off their chest. They don't want you to respond. They don't want you to solve the issue. They don't want to hear your advice. They don't want to hear what your grandma told you 30 years ago. They just want to get it off their chest. And I believe part of active listening is listening to what the person is saying, but also observing everything in that moment, right? This person already had a long day. They already have other stressors. So this a space where I'm responding, or is this a space where I'm just here as a listening ear and a shoulder to lean on? And even asking in that moment, right? Do you want me to help you resolve this, or do you just need to get this off your chest? And then on the other side, it's also like, I really need to vent, right? This is where mutual respect comes in. I really need to vent. Are you in a space today where I can vent to you? Because a lot of us will start just, right? And the person on the other end, they already bombarded. And now we've added something else. So again, with timing, with awareness, with respect, it's also, okay, are you in a space where I can do this with you right now? Right? Being present. Yes. Being present is not just being in the room. Like, we all know that, right? Reverend Lawrence said being present. Sometimes being present is the awareness of, oh, I know you got a lot going on. I know you got a busy weekend. Hey, I'm just checking in on you. Do you need anything? Are you okay? How can I show up for you? Sometimes being present is we both just sitting on the couch. Like, my friend comes over, we're just sitting on the couch watching TV. That's it. And that's all. For like, I kind of started off like, many of my very close friends live in different states, like Maryland, Georgia, New York. Like, my friends don't live close by. So for us, being present is our group chat and FaceTimes, right? Where I can't be present with you in the same space, but I'm present and I know what you got going on in life. And I might shoot you a prayer or a voice memo or an encouraging message in the morning, right? Or I may just check in. Hey, how's your week going? How is Kristen? How is, like, just those check-in moments of I'm present. And your being present may look different based on geographic location, based on vocation, based on proximity. Your presence may look different, but in every situation, there should be some type of presence, right? And if you're just coming in, welcome in. We are talking about values and relationships and how our chosen family reflects that. And we've gotten some great things: honesty, integrity, responsibility, being present, mutual respect. So all of those things are values that we look for and that we want in the people that we choose to be part of our family, right? Hey, KeishaMcDaniel.com is on, right? And I'm so excited because many of my chosen family members are on tonight. So that just makes me excited. Hey, Carl. So unfortunately on Facebook, I can see how many are here, but I can't see who is here. But on the on IG, I can see who else is here, who is actually on. All right, so next question. We kind of talked about, you deserve the best. We talked about the values that we look for in other people. So when we look for those values, when we start making those connections, now from your personal experiences or from things that you want or that you desire, how do you nurture those relationships? So, I realize what I deserve. I've started making the connections, or we've been in this relationship and it's kind of growing, it's budding. So now, how do I nurture and maintain strong relationships, right? Whether it's networking, whether it's a ministry relationship, whether it is a personal relationship, whether it's a mate, whether it is someone that I work with, how do I now nurture and maintain, right? So some of the things that I just found is, one, being consistent, right? And I think part of what Reverend Lawrence said, the presence. So being consistent. And again, depending on geographic location, depending on the proximity, depending on what type of relationship, consistency looks different in different spaces, right? So consistency could be, if this is someone I'm networking with, maybe we talk once a week, or we talk bi-weekly to kind of touch base, follow any action items, right? If it's someone that I am in a personal relationship with, right? A friend, a mate, even our chosen family, it is the consistency of the reciprocity, right? So you show up for me, I show up for you. Not transactional, but it is, okay, we have a certain rhythm, right? Where I have you in a certain way and you have me. And I know that if I call you, you got my back. Y'all know, all of us have certain people where we know, even if it's just one person, if I call them, they pulling up. It don't matter where they are. It doesn't matter what's going on. They will drop everything and make sure that they are present for me. That's a certain type of consistency Oh, and Miss Keisha also said being considerate. Absolutely. You need, again, across the board in all types of relationships, being considerate of the other person, being considerate of what they have going on, being considerate of what they do, being considerate of their time. That's gonna always be a big thing for me. It's being considerate of other people's time, because time is something you can't get back. You can't make it, right? You can't rewind it. Being considerate of people's time is so important because it's so valuable. And for me, like when people show up for me, that's their time. Like that is, thank you. Right? You could be doing anything else, right? You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. Right? I love that. It's like, thank you for just being there. So I think when people show up, we should not take that lightly, because they literally could be doing anything else, especially they have family, they have children, they have work, they have to deal with life. They could be like, I'm going to take a nap, right? But they decided to show up for us, so that's exciting. Hey, Yale. So that is such a big deal to me. So practical ways we show appreciation, right? You nurture and maintain strong relationships by showing appreciation, right? If you have you also have businesses, like let's say you're a business person, right? Entrepreneur. Customer appreciation. What does that mean? Sometimes you may send out gifts, or you send out thank yous, just little small tokens of thank you for patronizing my business. Thank you for supporting my organization, right? With family members, friends, coworkers, it's again, it's the gratefulness of, you know what, thank you for helping me out with that report. Small tokens, sending a short text like, hey, I know you had a long day, but I really appreciate what you did for me, right? I know you had a long day, but thank you for taking out the time to answer my call. I know you had a long day. Here's a gift card to go get you something to eat, right? It's those things seem small, but it's such a big deal, especially when you're on the receiving end. It's like, oh, you notice, because sometimes we don't even realize what we do for people. So you just told them, oh, you look cute today, but you just made their whole day from that simple phrase. And on the flip side, we don't realize how much they may have taken from somebody for them to be present, for them to do something. So we always want to have a certain appreciation. Not, you don't have to bow down and kiss their feet, but we do want people to know that we appreciate them, because again, that's something that we take for granted, because we assume people know, like, oh, they know I appreciate them. Do they know? Do they? If you didn't tell them, how do they know? Like, how would they know? Miss Keisha said, exactly, it shows that you value the relationship. Yes. And again, across the board, that's networking relationships, follow-up calls, emails, just check in, not always calling people when you need something from them, right? Well, this is safe space, right? This is safe space, right? So I have at least 3 people, right? And I love them. I love them. I love them. But I know when my phone ring, they want something. They did not call me, text me, email me, DM me, private message me, unless they want something. So I would look at the phone and be like, I answer it because I love you, and sometimes I say yes, and sometimes I say no. But it is also checking in on people and making connections outside of I need something from you, right? Because then it becomes like I don't want nobody to ever look at that phone and be like, oh Lord, Kelly calling me. Oh, all right, let me answer. I don't want nobody to do that, right? But I also try my very best to, from a very sincere place, reach out to people and do things for them without expecting something back every time, but also reaching out to customers, to people that I have a relationship with, and just random moments of, hey, I'm just checking in. And not every time, hey, can you do this for me? Hey, I need this. Hey, how fast? Nobody wants it. You know you don't want it. So nobody else does either. Like nobody else wants that either. Quality over Reverend Lawrence said quality over quantity. Absolutely, the quality of it. So it don't have to be a whole bunch of people. It doesn't have to be a lot, but the quality is I am showing up for you, and I am showing you that I appreciate you through text, through I'm gonna pay for your lunch today, through small gestures, but the core of it is showing appreciation, right? Big or small. And then spending quality time, because again, we don't always have to solve people's issues, and you don't always have to save the day, right? Sometimes, like my mom and my sister are here at my house now. Sometimes we just like sit in the same room, nobody's talking, the TV on, and we're all doing something different, but we're just in the same space. And it's just like, I just want you in the same space. Like my daughter would do that. My daughter will be like, she'll come in my room, like she came in my room this morning. I was half asleep, and she just laid down beside me, right? And her thing was, she was like, you can go back to sleep. It was just like, I just want to be in the same space as you. So the other part of that is like, you don't have to always solve people's problems. Sometimes they just want you and your presence, the peace that you bring, the joy that you bring, the laughter that you bring. Even when you don't say nothing, you're just looking, right? They just want you to be there. Yes, just be present, right? Sometimes I do that with Minister Keisha. I'll just go sit her. I'll be like, can I sit in here? And I would just sit in her office and just do my work. Just sit in a little corner with my laptop and just do my work. And I'm just sitting in there with her. Mind you, our offices are literally across from each other. But there'll be some moments I'm like, can I just sit in here? And I just sit in there with her because I just want her presence, right? So that's what we do. And it is a love language, just that quality time with someone being there. So I just don't want us to get caught up, especially some of us, like as educators, as ministers, as leaders. Sometimes we want to always solve problems. Sometimes the problem solving is your presence, not you trying to always think of a solution, right? We overthink it a lot. So thank y'all for sharing. I really, really appreciate that. And then as we kind of move through it, so we talked about what you deserve. We talked about the qualities and virtues that we looked at, and we talked about how we maintain that relationship. The other part of that, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, we kind of touched on it, is how do you balance the give and take in relationships, right? So I kind of touched on it because, like, I have a couple people call me, I already know they want something. They want something. Right? And I love them. Again, I ain't talking bad about nobody, but relationships, and again, I'm not talking transactional, I'm talking relationships as a whole, should have some type of reciprocity. So I give something to you, or I bring something to you, I add value to you, you also do the same thing for me. And that may look different in different seasons. So there may be some times where I'm carrying most of the load, and there may be some times where you're carrying a big part of the load. But the biggest thing is that should never always be true. Like, I should never always be carrying the load, right? But also, you should never always be carrying the load. So there is some give and take there, where there are some different times where it may be like I really need to have this person back. They got this going on, that going on. I'm here. I got you. But then there's some times when that flips and it's like, okay, I really need you to show up for me. I don't have a lot right now, but I really need you right now for me, right? But there should be even reciprocity in that space, where even if it's not at the same time, it still happens, right? And if we start to find ourselves, yes, the give and take, Miss Rosa, if we start to find ourselves like we're the one putting effort all the time, that's where we like we talked about earlier, that's where the boundaries kind of kick in. Because people sometimes, oh, my camera just did something. People sometimes will take advantage, and I want to say this because many of us can be like nurturers or very giving, and when I say nurturers, I'm talking about male and female. So this is not women based. This is just people in general, because there are a lot of men that I know that are givers, and some of my male friends have been taken advantage of, and I'm like, let me put you on game, because that's good that you want to do this and do that, but this is not ideal situation. Like, you giving a lot, and it's not being reciprocated. And again, we don't always expect, let me be clear, I'm not talking about somebody like, if I pay $50 for something, you got to pay $50 for something. No, I'm saying that we should both be bringing something. So it may not be the same form or the same way, but there should be some reciprocity in relationships where you're getting something and they're also getting something. And you don't feel like, oh man, I've done this, I've done that, I've done that. And what, like, do you ever analyze, like, okay, what am I receiving? And intangibly or tangibly, what am I receiving from this relationship? Right? Because what we don't want is for this certain dependency to start, right? So what we don't want is every time, this is just a very just out there example. I know that I can call Miss Rose. I'm just gonna use you as an example. I know that I'm gonna be irresponsible with my money, right? And every time I need my light bill paid, I'm gonna call Miss Rosa because I know she's gonna give it to me. So I don't check in on her. I don't talk to her. I don't call her. I don't text her unless my light bill need to be paid because I know she got it and I know she gonna cover it, right? So now every time, like every month, like clockwork, right? On the 15th, hey Miss Rosa, can you send can you send me some money? I'm going through this. People come up with a good sob story every time. Like, then my car broke down and we need this, and I had to get some groceries. They're gonna throw the child. I had to get some groceries because Chris was hungry. So can you just send me and I promise next time I'm gonna have it. Every month, I can't do that every month, right? Because the thing is, she's giving, but I don't even show up for her. She got things going on with her family. I don't call. I don't check in. I don't see how she doing. When I call on and ask her how she day going, I get straight to the point, right? What we don't want is those dependency relationships where somebody's constantly taking from you and you're just being depleted, and you're not getting anything. How's this relationship helping me grow? How's this relationship pushing me forward? How is this relationship, like, how is this building me up? Or is this person just taking advantage of me because I am a giver? Right? Again, that could be male or female. Miss Rosa said it doesn't always have to be 50-50. Sometimes it's 70-30. Absolutely. But like you said, like sometimes it looks different, but there is a give and take to a certain degree. Reese, hey Reese. Reese said interdependence relationships only. Absolutely. We got each other, right? We have each other. So when you need something, I got you. When I need something, you got me. And the thing is, I know that we can depend on each other. And it's not a sense of you always depend on me for everything, right? Because one disadvantage to that is you're constantly being used and possibly depleted emotionally. And I don't mean financial, I mean like emotionally, spiritually, because you're giving, and you're not being replenished in any sense. The other part of that is we create, or not create, we almost become like an enabler for people, right? And if I'm always enabling you, you can't grow. And that can be tough, especially like parental relationships and certain family members and people that you have a soft spot for. It can be so easy to enable them when there's some moments where out of love, like, look, you're gonna have to figure this out, because what I can't do is keep bailing you out, because now you feel no sense of responsibility. And some of them get to the point where, how dare you not pay for this? Right? Like, wait a minute, you're responsible for that, right? How dare you not do this? You should be doing this, because it's the truth for them is now, oh, Miss Rose is gonna take care of this bill because she always does, even though the responsibility really should be on them. So we want to be mindful of those relationships. And if you can navigate, some people can navigate those relationships. Like I say, I have people that I know for a fact, when they call me, they want something, but I navigate that relationship based on what I'm able to give at that time. So sometimes the answer is, okay, yeah, I got you. Sometimes the answer is, I can't do that right now, right? Because I have responsibilities. I have things that I have to do as well. And right now, I ain't going to be able to look out for you, right? I'm sorry, right? Or I'm not, but I can't do it right now. So thank y'all for sharing that, because that's a big thing. And you start asking questions, right? Especially my thing, all again, and y'all, the people get me all the time. But the one of the big things for me, especially in romantic relationships, because we often think forward, which we should. But if you are constantly giving to this person and you're constantly putting out to this person, and you're constantly feeling unfulfilled, you have questions about maybe where you and that other person stand, there may be a point of a boundary, like, okay, wait a minute, because I'm giving a lot and I'm not getting anything back. And that's how a lot of people get hurt. That's how a lot of people end up bitter. Because yeah, that person, maybe they did use you, whatever, but you also are responsible for setting a certain boundary. Once I see you taking advantage of me, I have to set a certain boundary for myself once I start realizing that. And we want to do that sooner than later. Notice those imbalances and have the conversation, because it may be something that wasn't on purpose. And it just, started kind of happening because depending on life circumstances. But sometimes it is very much on purpose, because if you allow people to keep doing something, they're going to keep pushing pushing, right, to see how much they can get. So you're responsible to a certain degree, and when to set a boundary of, okay, no, we can't keep doing that, right? Mm-mm. Right, and that's again sometimes where the accountability, right, comes in, because I'm the mean friend in a lot of spaces, and I'm okay with it because I'm the one, like, don't call me unless you want me to really tell you, you know what I'm saying? Unless you want me to be honest, right? And some of my friends, I can joke about it now, but one of my friends had a conversation one night, and he was like, I don't give too many details, but one of the questions I asked him was like, do you feel like you're settling with this person because XYZ, blah, 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 whatever. He was like, yeah, but, and right, start making all these excuses for the young lady, blah, 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 whatever. I was like, I just think you deserve better. And I left it at that, right? So then some months went by and something happened. And his thing was, you tried to tell me. I was like, yeah, but you didn't want to hear me. And I was okay with it. Like, I got thick skin. I won't trip. I was like, I was like, I told him, I was like, you weren't trying to hear me, but what I was trying to say was like, you are a good person, you're a good man, and you're doing X, Y, and Z. You deserve to be with somebody who's going to reciprocate that same type of energy back to you, not somebody that's going to continuously take from you. He didn't want to hear it, but with time, hindsight's 2020. We know those things, but also like, we have to see it from the beginning and be honest and stop making excuses. We make a lot of excuses for people when we really need to take things for what they are and let it hurt in that moment and move on versus stretching it out, and it's going to hurt more later. So that's just me. That's me. And I know everybody has their own, stances on different things. But my thing is like, I'd rather it kind of hurt a little bit now, just sting a little bit now because I liked you and it didn't work out, because I noticed some things that I'm not willing to settle for, than for me to drag this thing out and be more hurt later when it doesn't work out, then when we are more invested in one another just because of time spent, right? Let's rip the band-aid down. I ain't got time to be messing around with nobody that I'm supposed to be with, right? Yes, Miss Rosa said you have to value yourself. Absolutely. You have to value yourself more than valuing being in a relationship with certain people. Because if it causes you to shrink yourself down, if it causes you to go back on boundaries, if it causes you to be something that you don't recognize, or to start second guessing or putting yourself in a position where you're going against your own values, you have to value yourself more than the relationship or a possible relationship, especially if it's somebody that you really shouldn't even be connected to anyway. Setting standards enforces your values. Absolutely. So if you set a standard, the discipline is setting it is the easy part. Staying with it and being disciplined through it is the part that's a little more challenging. And that's why you have to have, again, these connections. That's why these connections are so important, because those people will cause you to ask yourself questions and to really say, is this line up with what you really want? Right? Is this really what you're trying to do? Or are you settling because it's comfortable or because it's something there? Right? Miss Keisha also said, notice and address the red flags up front. Do the hard work now. Yes, that's it. See, that's why I love Miss Keisha, because she say things so tact. I just be like, look, she said with so much tact, right? She a businesswoman. She said with so much tact, like, notice and address the red flags up front, right? Because I'd be like, look, if something ain't right, you need to get out of there. That's all I got for you, right? Do the work now so that later it doesn't hurt you more later. Let it hurt a little bit now. That's where I stand on it. Right? Because you want to protect yourself. And again, that goes back to where we started with valuing who you are. Again, the hard part is sticking to it and having discipline. That's why your circle is so important. And then we almost through with the lab. We have like a couple more questions. That's why I love asking questions, because again, it's a community conversation. So I appreciate all of you for your comments. Even again, if you're listening in, take what you need and have conversations in other spaces. So this is for the listener, this is for the people who want to comment, this is for everybody. Miss Blunt said, hold on to your dignity and respect. And then Miss Rose said, guard your heart. All of those things. And again, we talk about that a lot to women, but men have to do the same thing. I have found in conversations with patients, with clients, with colleagues, it's across the board. Like women and men need to do that of all ages, right? Sometimes we think we grew up to the point where, those things are, yes, they do. All ages need to do that. Respect yourself, value yourself, hold on to your dignity and your respect. Don't start this fake timeline that's been created. Don't start diminishing what you really believe in and going back on what you believe because of this fake timeline of when you should be married or when you should have a certain amount of money in your bank account or when you should have children. Like that's those standards and that stuff is fake. Like be responsible, yes, but don't put yourself on a timeline based on what other people say. Put yourself on the timeline based on what works for you in your life circumstances and know that there's no age for this. There's no age for success. There's no age, right? Some of the greatest people that we consider successful were more mature and faced a lot of no's and like went broke and all these things, and they were of a more mature age, right, when they actually hit whatever success means to many people. So don't lose it because of age or because of life circumstances. Know that whatever you're supposed to do, as long as you stay diligent and you stay disciplined, it's going to happen in the time that it should happen as you kind of work through that. The other things we talk about give and take. We talked about standards. We talked about valuing yourself. So how have different life stages, and we kind of talked about this when we talk about age, we talk about accomplishing things by a certain date and a certain time. I don't want you to throw that out, but what I'm saying is don't restrict yourself to if your timeline doesn't look exactly like what you thought it would look like, right? Know that things can still happen even if you've gotten beyond the age that you thought it would happen. That's all I'm saying. How have different life stages, college, work, parenthood, influenced the formation of your chosen family? So we kind of talked about this in the beginning, but just from a personal standpoint, many of the people that I'm very close to now, I have met in different parts of my life, right? So my good girlfriends, my daughter's aunties, I met them in undergrad, right? My close friends now, I met many of them in grad school, but also like just life, right? So many of my mom's friends are my aunties and my mamas, right? Many of the people that I am able to do ministry with, and like I was just talking about Miss Keisha, right? I go sit in her office. Like my chosen family are people I've met through ministry and just through life and work. And I'm okay with, or I'm grateful. I won't even say I'm okay. I'm grateful for those relationships. And the goal of this question is for us to kind of analyze, okay, I met this person, after, I got married, I got connected with these people. Once I became a parent and I started doing like PTA, I got connected with these type of people. And the big thing with that is looking at your life stages, knowing that many of us have bonds with people that we haven't known our whole life, and being open to making those connections and knowing that they can be lifelong connections. Even if we want from the womb to the tomb, we can still be very close. We can still forge lasting relationships. We can still like really be tight even if I haven't known you all my life, because sometimes college, work, ministry, life changes, right? Marriage, divorce, parenthood, different life stages and ages now put us in positions where we connect with different people. Maybe you work with the government, maybe you work for a certain company and your desk was right beside somebody. So now y'all are besties and friends. And the other part of that is no matter what the location or the reason, there's a bond there, right? Y'all had the same boss that got on your nerves, or I just see you day to day. And we started talking about our children. We started talking about our grandchildren. We started talking about life experiences. And now we formed a bond, right? For some of us, if we were in college and we went to the CAF together, or we was broke together and trying to put some money together to make noodles and fix dinner, or we have these experiences that we don't have it with everybody. But this part of my life, right, for 4 years, for some of us, we was in college for more than 4 years, but we made this bond with people because we had shared experiences, right? We had that professor that couldn't nobody understand, and we still don't know how we got out of that class. We now formed a bond because of that, right? We worked in this ministry together, and we've had some heartache together. We had some disappointments together, and that's what really forged the bond. Is we really lean into each other during these moments, right? So my thing is, they become our chosen family because the bond was born out of, whether it's born out of adversity, whether it's born out of shared good experiences, whether it's born that we both in this struggle together, let's look out for one another, whether it was born out of, like whatever the case may be. We have this professor, and then we got to start this study group because we don't know how we go graduate, no matter what it was, right? If you're in the military, you spend a lot of time with these people, or you were a commanding officer for these people. So many different circumstances that bring people together, and often they now become our family. And it's like, man, we just started talking. You like, some people you can't even recall, right? I don't know if y'all have the experience. You like, well, I know we met here, but it's like one day we just started talking, and now we friends. We celebrate birthdays together, and we go out to lunch. And I just can't imagine my life without them. But I don't even know how this started. Right? I just know we met here and we just clicked. It just happened. Right? And those are sometimes the most exciting relationships, because it's like, wow. And what other space would our paths cross? Right? We're from different states. We're from different part of the world. We are like, in no other area would our lives cross, right? One of my good friends that comes up here, I don't know if he's on tonight, is Aggie Chap. He's an Army chaplain from Maryland. I think they're in Georgia now. I think we met maybe 3 years ago, right? He and his wife. We happened to cross paths because we were at the same conference, and he was trying to recruit people to be chaplains, Army chaplains. Now I am a chaplain now, but I'm not an Army chaplain. However, I don't know how else our lives would have crossed. And now he's one of my good friends. And he and his wife actually gonna be on a panel for the event when we go to Atlanta. So I'm excited for that. But the goal of what I'm saying is, we crossed paths when I was after grad school. I went to a conference, and a group of us just clicked, and now we're just friends. And we communicate all the time. We encourage each other in ministry. We have debriefing moments, and we help each other, like through certain ministry moments. But it's like, wow, how did this happen? Right? We literally had that conversation maybe a couple weeks ago. Like, what are the odds that our paths would have crossed? It seems so random, but those are the type of connections that I needed, and I'm grateful for he and his family. So that's exciting for me. And then lastly, what I would really love for you all to chime in on, our last question is, have you discovered, so when you think about the chosen connections that you've made, when you think about the people you've crossed paths with, when you think about the people who've become family or very close to you over time, through those relationships, because of those meetings, because of those bonds, have you discovered new interests or passions because of those people? Like, have those people pushed you to a place where you're like, man, if I didn't connect with this person, I wonder if I would have ever thought about doing this, right? Or if I'll use Aggie Chap for an example, right? Jonathan, if Aggie Chap never crossed paths with me, I don't know if I would have even considered being a chap. Like, I had thought about it, and I think he asked me about it, and I know he was doing his job recruiting, right? But he asked me about, like, if I've ever thought about being a chaplain. And I was like, yeah, but the time that I thought about it, I had a young child, and I was like, I can't really do the travel thing. I didn't want to leave her. So I kind of thought about it years before I met him. And then I didn't think about it again. And then I thought about it again, right, when I met, obviously, when he was recruiting. And then after that, opportunity was presented to me outside of the military. But the soil, I guess, had already been kind of tilled. So I was like, you know what? This keep popping up. Maybe this is something I should try, right? So now I am a chaplain. So it's crazy because it's like I was interested in it. And now it's like a great passion for me. But it's also like, it's because I was connected to certain people, right? Even the chaplain job I have now is because of a connection to someone who I've known since I was young, since I was a little girl, right? We went to high school together, all of that. didn't talk for years, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, we need right. It was like, okay, let's do it. So yeah, so Miss Keisha said absolutely. Kalita said true. Yeah, so it's like people, and that's a part of and I'm about to end. I realize it's 10:10. I think the big thing as we look at discovering new interests and hot passions, hobbies, vocations, opportunities, however you want to word it, is that's why it's so important to connect with people who don't think just like you. That's why it's important to connect with people who may have been from a totally different area, totally different region, totally different country, have totally different experiences and viewpoints as you, because that often creates this space where you're enriched. It creates this space where you can now collaborate, because maybe my strengths and your strengths are very different, but we can lean on each other's strengths and now create this great thing in different areas. And then it creates so much different opportunities for us because we've been exposed. And Miss Keisha said exposure creates experiences. My life is totally different now. It's because of the people she's connected to, right? And that's true for us all. And even if you're trying to think of those people, like there's somebody who doesn't think just like you. And there's also people who maybe we haven't necessarily taken out time to be intentional about learning things about them, but we choose them. And then we see, like, some of my friends are like psychologists that I'm not in that world, right? Some of my friends can code and they work for tech companies. I'm like, I'm really not in that world, but I appreciate what you do and what you share. But baby, like I've discovered some things and I'm aware of some things now and I'm appreciative of that. But it's only because I'm connected to people who have different interests, who work in different vocations, and they have now exposed me. And now I'm like, oh wow, I didn't consider that until I talked to the tech person. I didn't consider that until I talked to the psychologist. I didn't consider that until I talked to the person in the medical field. So I'm grateful for all these varying perspectives and these varying experiences, because it now enriches me and my viewpoint and my perspective. So I'm not stuck in my own box, right? You don't want to be stuck in your own box. Hey, Trey, you don't want to be stuck in this box of just knowing what you know and believing what you believe, when there's so much out there to kind of tap into. And whether you believe it or ascribe to it or not is a whole different story. But just knowing that there are things and opportunities beyond what you know, and often we can reach those things based on the relationships that we build and the connections that we make and those people that we choose to be connected to. So thank you all for coming on tonight. I appreciate you. I even appreciate you. I told y'all about time, for spending a little bit of extra time with me tonight. It is 10:12. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being part of my chosen family, and choosing to connect with the Vent tonight. Again, tonight's episode really was just about those people that we choose, those things that we choose that really enrich our lives, even if it's not a blood bond. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate y'all. And I look forward to meeting with you again on next Tuesday. Again, if you have anything else that you want to share, y'all know we at the let out, so y'all can meet us in the Vent Vestibule. It's just a group meet where we kind of exchange information, ideas, encourage each other. I'll put that post up next. But if you want to meet us in the vestibule, if you have anything else you want to share, you can share it tonight. You can share it in the morning. You can share it some days when you kind of sit on this and chew on it. You can share it later. But thank you so much for choosing to be with us tonight. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I will see you again soon.